world-famous president of South Africa and political activist Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Hello everyone and thank you for coming. My name is Michael Corciani and I am currently a student enrolled at Southeastern Louisiana University. As a student studying at the highest level, I truly understand the importance education has on everyone's lives today. Education is the road to success for everyone in this world. The problem that we are witnessing in this era today is the lack of funding towards higher education. As a resident who has lived in Louisiana all of my life, I strongly believe that it is time for Louisiana to take a stand and put words and thoughts into action. In a study done by Marshall University, a well-known reliable source, Michael Mitchell, shows an estimated $5,004 has been cut from students trying to receive higher education funding in Louisiana alone. This one value may not really stand out to you at first, because honestly, it didn't even stand out to me either until I began researching deeper and deeper into this topic. As I began researching, I found out that Louisiana is ranked number 1 out of all 50 states, based off of how much money is being taken away from these students. This one fact should show you that Louisiana, most importantly, needs to do something about this problem. So I pulled aside this graph that I gathered from this website that I had, and it is state funding for higher education remains far below pre-recession levels in most states. Change in state spending per student. So as you can see, Louisiana is at the very top, ranked first with $5,004. Then comes Alabama. Alabama is followed by $4,000. Come closely to Nevada at $3,000, Mississippi around $2,000, and then you go down all the way to Texas, Kansas, Ohio, New York, and Wyoming. Wyoming is at negative $93, so they are cutting $93 from our $5,000. And as you can see, the two states here, Alaska and North Dakota, instead of taking away the funding, they are actually putting money towards the funding. Alaska has actually put $636 towards higher education funding, while North Dakota has put $3,150 towards funding. Now, the thing I took from this graph that I have here is that the population in Louisiana, the size is 4.65 million people. Kansas's population is 2.9 million people. And there's not, as you can see in this graph, Louisiana is here and Kansas is here. There's not much of a difference in population size, so it gets you to wonder, why is it such a difference in funding? What are the two states doing different? So that has happened, and after that graph, I'm moving on to another article. And an article done by Louisiana Budget Project in May of 2016 shows that Louisiana has cut funding for higher education by 39.1% since 2008, which is a tremendous amount. Now, you may be in the position where you're thinking to yourselves, well, why does it matter how much Louisiana is cutting on higher education funding? The answer to that question is seen in the same article I stated above, that it means a whole lot, because of the fact that the average tuition at a 4-year public college has risen by $3,493, or 79.1%, since 2007 to 2008 school year. Let me break this down for you to make it more understandable. The students are not only having to pay more now to go to college, but are also seeing education fundings decrease as well in the college level. So now here's the plan that I propose. First, make LSU more of an exclusive university, meaning make it a university, for an example, that is known as a top 5 university in the country. Second, once time has passed, use this public funding to hire better and more experienced faculty members. By doing this, it will allow the curriculum at the school to see an all-time high, which would attract better and smarter students. Third, raise the education requirements to get into LSU, make it more difficult for students to get into and admitted to the university, so that it becomes more competitive admissions process for many. Because LSU now has an acceptance rate of 77%, according to U.S. News, which is extremely too easy compared to other universities out of state for an example, Stanford and Duke. Lastly, use the rest of the universities in Louisiana, Southeastern, and Louisiana at Lafayette. For those who do not qualify and get admitted into LSU, this would almost be like an option 2 for many students. You're probably thinking to yourself, how in the world will that help funding higher education in Louisiana? It will help funding because over time you will see a difference in students who live in state and no longer leave to go to better schools elsewhere out of state. By having students stay in state gives the opportunity on having them live here and get jobs in Louisiana, which leads to eventually these people sending their own kids to LSU. I was asked the question recently, why do I really believe Louisiana, out of all the rest of the 49 states, deserves an increase in higher education funding? The reason for this is because Louisiana has so many unemployed and young people here. Proven from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Louisiana is the ranked 4th highest state based on unemployment rates at 5.8%, which is a ridiculous amount. This was recorded recently in February 2017. And the reason for this is that because of the lack of education people are receiving in Louisiana. In today's world, with internet and high-tech capabilities, there's no reason to have the amount of uneducated young people that live here. Many of our state colleges have either lost or done away with grants and scholarships. Because of the lack of funding that they used to receive from the state, because of this, many students have had to either drop or forget about their further education due to the lack of finances. The middle and lower income families just can't afford this expense with everything else they have to pay for. It also doesn't help that there have been drastic tax cuts in Louisiana, but we won't go there. As a result of the decrease in college funding in the education system, many colleges and universities have to compensate by increasing tuition. For an example, the most recent issue for state funding right now, Louisiana students are facing is the fact that the state is taking away TOPS from several students. TOPS stands for Tuition Opportunity Program for students. State officials are making it more difficult for students to receive TOPS. They have raised the requirements and standards on what a student must have in order to receive TOPS. The ACT score and GPA score of a student must be higher now in order to have TOPS. And the result of TOPS being taken away from several students has caused them to drop out of school because they can no longer pay for tuition. This example is just one of many that proves why Louisiana is amongst the highest in unemployment rates. Now, to finally wrap this up, if you haven't been paying attention throughout this speech, at least pay attention now. Because what you're about to hear is the most important thing. I feel as a true resident of what I like to call home, Louisiana, I feel that we definitely need more funding so that the unemployment rate can decrease and students can be offered the opportunity to further their education so that they can graduate with degrees, and many can also further their education to get their master's and go into the workforce and make a difference in this beautiful state. Louisiana has so much potential and job opportunities waiting on people. If the state and citizens can work together, then Louisiana can become one of the most productive states in the U.S. I truly believe that. Thank you for coming, and I hope you've learned something.